Hi, y'all, and welcome back to Ray Rivers Gaming and WarPlan Pacific, in which we're going to be doing another tutorial about aircraft carriers. So I'm playing this game, and I upped the difficulty level, and it suddenly occurred to be something, and we're going to be talking about CVs, and we're going to be talking about the new rules for the effectiveness hits you take based on how far away you fight naval battles from major supply bases. So, you know, die Yankee. So, the game starts off and you're attacking Pearl Harbor and the Day of Infamy, and didn't look like they did so good there, huh? So, but anyway, the game starts off and you're attacked at Pearl Harbor, and the Japanese have 6 CVs, which are 6 fleet carriers. A CV is a fleet carrier. Okay. Now in the game, when it starts, I believe it's down here. You have a CVL, and then is it here? No, here. You have another CVL, and you have another CVL. So the Japanese start off with 6 fleet carriers and 3 CVLs. Okay, so that's 9 aircraft carriers, and you start off with 0. All right, so what I did was I said, it's going to take me until like middle of 1943 before I can start fighting these guys, okay, because they've got so many aircraft carriers. So what I did was I went to the reinforcements and I started counting aircraft carriers. Okay, so this is the reinforcements for the Japanese. And as you can see, they're going to get on this date a light carrier, this date an escort carrier, and here we have 2 more fleet carriers, another light, escort, light, and two fleet carriers again. When you add all that up, okay, in the reinforcements for the Japanese, okay, by the time you get to October 9th, 1944, the Japanese will have 19 aircraft carriers, okay? And that will include 10 fleet carriers, 7 light carriers, and 2 escort carriers. 2 escort carriers. 19, okay? So let's remember that number. We're just going to end the turn here real quick. We're not going to worry about anything else. You see, we still don't have any aircraft carriers. Okay, it just dawned on me that maybe I should be looking at how many carriers are actually in the reinforcements. So now we go to the American turn, and we get our first aircraft carriers, okay? The Enterprise and the Lexington. So we look over here, and we've got 2 aircraft carriers, right? 2 aircraft carriers, and they are fleet carriers. And then now let's take a look at the reinforcements, okay? And what you see is right off the bat, you're going to get 2 more fleet carriers, and then as the game goes on, you get another one there. That's 5 now in 42. Okay, and you get another one there. That's 6 in 42. Okay, remember they started with 9. 6 in 42. There's another fleet carrier. That's 7 in 42. Then a light carrier, that's 8. Another one, another CV, that's 9. 10. So anyway, you can see as they, I mean, we're into the 1943s before we're even coming close to having the amount of carriers that the Japanese have. So I totaled them all up, and what you find is that the Americans, in the end up with 21 carriers in their reinforcements. Okay. And the last one comes in April 1945, which is almost the end of the game. So I'm not going to count him. Okay, so it's 20 aircraft carriers. The Japanese are going to get 19, and we're going to get 20. Okay. And although the Americans are getting mostly fleet carriers, for example, again, if we go back to October, the Japanese have 10 fleet carriers, the Americans have 15 fleet carriers, and we have 5 light carriers that are in this replacement pool. Okay, but it doesn't matter because if you look at the numbers, okay, and you want to see at what point do the Americans are slowly getting more carriers, and they finally catch up, right? But at what point do you start to reach parity? And what I found was that date is right around June 15th. Around June 15th, the Japanese have 15 carriers, and you will have 16 carriers. So you will go one carrier above them in June. Of course, you also have the Hermes, which is the light carrier. So you could say in May. Okay, May, June time frame, you're going to end up in 1943 with basically an equivalence in aircraft carriers. And if you want to achieve dominance at sea as the American player, I mean, just looking at the numbers, and it's amazing that I haven't done this, okay, because I've been playing the game for quite a while, but I haven't looked at the numbers. I mean, it's going to be June of 1943 before you can really even challenge the Japanese Navy. Okay, June of 1943, and you need to be challenging these guys before then. Okay, and let me show you something here. All right. So one of the things that has been introduced is this thing with everybody should understand what is a major port, right? You go to supply, and anything that has a yellow ring around it, this is a major supply base where you can send ships to be refueled and repaired. Okay. So when you look across the theater over here, I mean, that's an awful long distance to go before you get to the first major port. And if you end up fighting battles over here, okay, your guys are going to be way far away from all this action here, while the Japanese, you see, they can improve in a WETOC here from a 2 to a 5, making it a major supply base. So if the Japanese improve this base right from the get-go, they're going to be able to engage in carrier warfare, engage in naval warfare, and not lose a whole lot. Well, you're way out here, and you're going to lose a whole lot because of effectiveness rules. But we'll get back to that later. Okay. So when you look down here, you're basically forced into coming down here to fight, and the reason being is because you have these bases here in Henderson Field that you can improve to a major base, and over here at Espirito Santo, okay, and you already have one here as well, and you have another one here in Brisbane. So what it means is that you end up going to be fighting over here, but you're not going to be able to do that until June of 1943. And you got a lot of ground to cover, to take this area and then start either moving over here. Notice these are upgradable, and truck over here, and then you go over here to Philippines or wherever. But I mean, you can't wait. What I figured out was you can't wait, okay, until you get the programmed CVs that are in the game. Okay. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is, of course, you can, if you look at the Brits, they're going to get a whole bunch of aircraft carriers, but they're not going to start arriving until 1944. Okay. And the war's got maybe 6 months or so before the end of the war, so you can't rely on them either. So as the American player, it's going to be you who's going to have to take the burden. And if you want to get parity on these guys, which you're going to have to do, okay, what I figured out was you're going to have to buy carriers. Okay. Now, when you look at the Japanese and you look at their reinforcements, what you see is they get only 4 fleet carriers in reinforcements. Okay. But they get a bunch of CVLs, light carriers, and escort carriers. Okay. So I'm saying to myself, well, most of the carriers that I'm getting are going to be fleet carriers. I go from 0 to 15 in October of 1944, and at the same time, in October of 1944, I've got 5 light carriers. So that says to me, well, I'm getting tons of fleet carriers. Here's a fleet carrier, and it's very expensive. Okay, very expensive. But even worse, it takes 540 days to build that thing. Okay. Meanwhile, if I look at my light carriers, well, that's 351. Okay. That's 351 production, and it takes only 400 days to get him into the battle. So let's just purchase him right off. That was the Bataan. And let's take a look at when he's going to show up. So that's going to be at least a year from now. So December 42. There he is. There's Bataan. Okay. And notice he shows up in January of 1943. January of 1943. So you've just got yourself a month, more or less a month ahead of the curve by buying that CVL. Okay. And I didn't realize it, but I'm building all these ground troops. I'm getting landing ships and all this other kind of stuff. I can't use my landing ships if I can't get naval superiority. And every time I try to move forward, I bring all my ships down here, and every time I try to move forward, I run into all these Japanese, and there's lots of battles going on, and it's very difficult to get any type of supremacy until June of 1943. So you got to. What I figured out finally was that you've got to do something to move that date forward. Okay, move that date forward so that you can start challenging the Japanese earlier. And if you can buy 2, 3, 4 light carriers, okay, 2, 3, 4 light carriers, all of a sudden you're looking at, let me see here, if I add 4 light carriers, let's see, for light carriers. That means around February of 1943, I'm in parity with the Japanese. Okay. In November of 1942, they will have 14. If I buy 4 light carriers in February of 1943, I will have 14. Okay, so that's a lot of time that you are bringing yourself ahead so that you can actually challenge the Japanese. And it just dawned on me that you probably have to do that, or else you're going to really have a hard time challenging the Japanese over here, because the Japanese, in the end, they know that you're going to have to come here first. So there's absolutely no reason, if I'm the Japanese player, absolutely no reason for me to have my entire fleet up here in Truk. And every time the Americans come out with their ships, they come down here and I engage in battle. Okay, so let me show a save that I have here. All right. Now, this is taken from a game that I was playing when I finally figured this all out. Okay. All right, and it is April 1943, and what we can see is that we've already had some fights. I've knocked out a bunch of Japanese carriers. They've taken out 2 of mine, so I'm very close to parity. I'm getting closer to parity here, because remember that 4 carrier difference I was talking about? I lost 2, and they lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm close, but I'm still not there. Okay. The difference is that on this date, okay, there's the Idaho. I don't want to talk about her. Okay. Here's 3 carriers that are coming into the battle. All right. And what you see here, here's how I've set this up. But I ain't going anywhere, okay, because every time I sortie, they'll come out and fight me. And if I look at supply, what has happened is I've upgraded Henderson Field, and Espirito Santo, so that they can handle my Navy. Okay, and at the same time, I've placed aircraft in with naval air training, okay, to give me support in this area, okay, if their carriers and all that come out. And as a matter of fact, I got it's not limited. As a matter of fact, we see over here that they have 6 ships with 2 battleships, and I can strike them. And what I've been doing, that's what I've been doing, is I've been, at the moment, I'm trying to prep them as much as I can, but not with great success here. He's not in this one. Bump him up here. And so you see, I don't think this guy's in range. No. Okay, so you see that here I am. I do all these airstrikes. Get a couple hits there. Couple hits there. But not much. Okay. And meanwhile down here, that's my okay, so here's my carriers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 carriers there, and I have 1 carrier there, and I have 1 carrier there, and I have 3 carriers there, so I've got 4 more coming. All right, now I'm going to show you something here. Now we're going to switch over. We're going to switch over, and we're going to start talking about the effectiveness hits you take on how far you are away from a major supply center. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy here, which is a battleship, Idaho. Okay, and I want him to come join me down here. Okay, so I'm going to make a straight line for him. Okay, and now I'm going to take the Princeton. Princeton's already moved, and they've already moved. Okay, all right, so here's the Idaho. Now I'm going to show you why you do not want to go from there all the way down to there, okay, with the ships. So we're going to switch over here, and unfortunately there's going to be a bunch of combat. We'll have to dwell through that. So remember, the way it works is there's three symbols, okay, and the symbols are a number 1 with 2 anchors, a number 1 with 1 anchor and 2, okay, and the number 1 with 2 anchors is a 12% hit on effectiveness. The 1 with 1 anchor is 24% hit on effectiveness if you get into combat. And the 2, if you move a full move, is 36% effectiveness drop. All right? So essentially, you do not want to be way out here, okay, fighting your naval battles, because if you're so far away from your major supply center, then you're going to be taking huge hits in effectiveness, and your effectiveness when you return to a port only comes back ever so slightly each move. And I'm gonna show you also the difference here. What happens with look at all these trucks. Okay, what happens? Okay, So here's Princeton. And I want to bring her down to Espiritu Santo with the rest of my fleet. Okay. And here's these other 3 carriers. I'm going to bring him down to this, which is owned by me. Okay. And now I'm going to take this guy. This guy, which is the battleship. Okay. And I'm going to take him. He makes it. Notice, you see there, the 2 with 2 anchors. I'm not sure I understand that's not in the thing that I saw, but anyway, I think it means that he's going to be taking an effectiveness hit. Okay, because he's traveled such a long distance. Okay. All right. So let's take a look here. And there you see the Idaho. Notice how all of my guys are at 100% down here. And look at the Idaho. By going straight from the California to Espiritu Santo, okay, the Idaho lost 24%, 24% in effectiveness. That's going to take a while to improve. Okay. So I would probably put that on, although I'm not. I think this number, it increases as you incrementally the longer that you're in port. So keeping those numbers high is important. Now, notice there's the Essex, and she only lost 2%. Okay. So let's go ahead. We need to get these 3 carriers down there. Okay, and let's see what happens. So let's go ahead and switch turns. Again, now we're talking effectiveness loss in the fights and in movement. So again, if you move your soldiers from California all the way around and come in like this, they're going to take a big effectiveness hit. They're going to take a big effectiveness hit, okay, because it's too long a voyage. Now, of course, the reason that this was all done was to keep the Americans from taking their ships and going all the way across and attacking Japan. Okay? And so now we have to be a lot more careful about the distance that we travel, or else your ships are going to take hits not only in transit, but also in battle. And once we get this other aircraft carrier over here, then these other aircraft carriers over here, then what we're going to do is we're going to get into a battle. Okay. Now notice it's May 19th, and I'm lucky because I've had several battles. I've had a couple battles with the Japanese already, and basically due to the fact that I had these aircraft down here, I was able to sink a lot more of their carriers than they were of mine. So I think I'm almost a parity now with the Japanese. So I'm going to bring these guys down to my major fleet here in Espiritu Santo. And then now let's see what they look like. Okay. Okay. And you can see these guys made the trip at 100%. All right? All right? And let's see, where was that battleship? There's the Idaho, and she's recovered 6% of her effectiveness by going straight from one coast to here. But by stopping at going to Pearl Harbor first, then down to here, and then down to my major supply base down here, I was able to keep the losses in effectiveness pretty low. Okay, at this point in this game, this is when it dawned on me that I'm not doing something right. Okay? And I decided to change something. Okay, but I decided to do it late. Okay, so this is too late for me in this game. I have a tendency of liking to give my aircraft carriers these screen bonuses. So, but let's take a look. No, let's take a look at reinforcements here. All right. Okay, so now I'm getting 2 more carriers coming in. All right, and I've changed my philosophy to going with long-range submarines to try to interdict their supply lines. Okay, and you can see that I've got 5 there, and I've got another 5 there, but if you look, okay, you know, I was way too late in starting to get light carriers. Here's Bataan. This is the first light carrier when you buy him, and you can see it's May. Okay, it's still, you know, I'm still ahead of the curve because she's still getting here before June. Okay, and from there, I first bought the Antietam. Okay, and look how long it's going to take for that guy to come into service. Okay, so July of 1943, and then I have all these other. I have the Cabot. I bought the Cabot. I bought the Langley too. Okay. San Jacinto. Okay, but again, now it's getting to be too late. This is way too late. Okay, I did this all way too late. All right, I should have started earlier with my carriers, adding different carriers. All right. So, let me see here. So, I can't do anything this round. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this like I would normally play. Well, this guy here, he needs to come and join my other submarines, which I believe is here. Yep, alright. And so, this is me beating my head against the wall, buying 1,000,000 trucks, and then attacking these ships here, which are mostly patrol boats. And as you see, I'm not very lucky here on this one. Alright, so let's, what happened there? Did we do anything? No, it did absolutely nothing, okay? And we can see that they've got 2 battleships, 2 cruisers, and a destroyer in there. I'm going to rework my encryption codes. Okay. And so now, because those carriers just joined me, I'm going to show you how an attack, and we're going to be able to then look at how the effectiveness works in actual naval battles. Unfortunately, it's going to take a little bit of time here because all of this other stuff has to go around. And like I say, I in this game I gave the AI a boost in both effectiveness and experience. I gave them a 10% boost in both of those. But I didn't realize that I don't have a navy that is prepared to get its butt in gear and start taking on the Japanese until June of 1943. I mean, I got a lot of cover. I got a lot of area here I've got to cover, right? And getting back up there and taking the Philippines and all this. I mean, I got a long way to go here. Okay. All right. So let's come on down here. Okay. And so what you're going to see me do here, okay, is I'm going to, okay, believe it or not, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This, believe it or not, okay, okay, but here I am way back here, okay? Here's my carriers way back here. And let's see here. So if I come up here, I'm getting one with a double anchor. So I can do that. Okay, and that will cost me 12% if I get into a fight. All right. But this guy here, okay, the Hermes, if he comes up here, yeah, he's still in one with a double anchor too. So that's 12% too. Notice if I let's get in here a little bit. Okay. So one with a double percent means that I'll be taking 12% effectiveness hit in a battle. Okay. And then if I go to there, it should be like, let's see, I'm not getting, I get the 2 with an anchor. That's not cool. I don't like that. It's not showing me what I want. Okay. So here's one with a double anchor, 12% effectiveness loss. And now there's one with one anchor. And if I go there and I fight, it's going to be a 24% effectiveness loss in a battle. In one battle, I'm going to lose 24%. And if I start going up here, then I'm going to lose 36%. So I do not want to do that. So what I'm going to do, here's Henderson Field, which is a major port. I'm going to take this fleet and I'm going to move them up there. Okay. I'm going to take this fleet and I'm going to take them to there. Okay. And now I'm going to beat my head against the wall again. I'm going to strike him again. sometimes when this happens, when I'm getting absolutely no. There we go. I sunk somebody. Okay. Okay. Damage. And I think he's not close enough. Okay. So let's see what I got here with the naval strikes. Some damage there on a cruiser. Sunk the cruiser. Damage on the battleship, and that's it. Alright, so we're going to end that here. So now I'm set up. I've got my carriers where I want them. So now I'm set up to actually fight the battle, and we're going to see what happens when we actually fight a naval battle, and what happens to the effectiveness. So of course, first we need to go through all of this other kind of stuff. And then we'll return to the battle. So see, I'm in June now. I'm in June. Okay. I don't care about all of this. I don't care about all of that. But I'm in June now, and given that the Japanese have lost more carriers than I have, I should have more carriers than them. I should have supremacy at sea. And we're going to see in a minute how this all works out. Okay. So, sorry about that. Let's maybe move it there, shall we? Okay. So let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got quite a few carriers here. So let's take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carriers, which is the most that you can take. Give them a couple BBs. Let's give them 3. Cruisers. Cruisers also worth the buy, I think. And a couple destroyers. Okay, so I'm going to bring this guy. Notice it's 1 with 2 anchors, so it's 12%. So I'm going to bring this guy up here. Okay, and he's going to be able to fire on him. Okay, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carriers here. So let's just take a couple babies. I'll take that guy. Well, actually, I don't want to take that guy because he'd be best in a surface action group. A couple cruisers, a couple destroyers. Okay, and now I'm going to bring him up here. Okay. And now over here, we're going to just bring the whole darn lot of them. Alright, so we're set up for a carrier battle. So once again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with these aircraft. I'm going to strike this guy here. Okay. I think I'm going to just hold him there like that. Hold him here like that. hold him here like that. Now let's see how the Japanese respond. See if that brings them out. So notice I didn't attack. I didn't attack against those ships there. I've got 3 carrier battle groups. And notice out they come. And I think I sunk 2 ships there. That was an interdiction. Again, I don't want to worry about all this stuff. I'm mostly interested down here. Come on. Pardon. It looks like only 1 carrier group is coming out. Only 1 group is coming out. And I know from doing this before that they have more than 1 group of carriers. Oh, you see there, and we lost a bunch of ships there. There you go. There's their second group. I had a feeling that was going to happen. All right, so let's see here. Both we can see all these losses here. So we lost a DD. The Japanese lost a carrier, cruiser, a carrier, a battleship, and we lost 2 carriers. So they lost 2 carriers, and we lost 2 carriers, and we also had a battleship destroyed. All right. So let's come over here and see what's actually going on. Okay. So we know this guy, 9 ships with a carrier group. 10 ships with a carrier group. Okay. So we know we've got carriers there. And this guy here, okay, he's still the same. Let's take a look at our guys here. And notice, they've only lost 19% in their effectiveness, and that's very important. Okay, very important. And this guy over here, notice these guys lost 12%. No, 22%. They lost 22%, and the other's 19%. And this guy down here, he lost 16%. Okay. And when we look at sunken ships now, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've lost 7 carriers. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've lost 4 carriers. So in this case, what I normally do, again, I like to start with the air. Okay, but he can't get there. This guy's going to be able to get there. So let me see. This one has 10 ships with a light carrier and a carrier group. I think I want to and they get saved. Okay. Go after him. And they get saved again. So what that leaves me with is what I will do is I will strike this guy once. Okay. Notice now I'm down to 74%. Okay. And this guy, I will strike him once. Yep. And this guy. And there you go. And that I will probably call it a battle. Okay. Have 1 carrier combat. Our naval strikes didn't do nothing really. I mean, we could continue to strike this guy. And I don't think this guy has a range. Yep. And there you go. But the important thing to bring home here is that do I carry this battle on? I mean I probably could sink a bunch of guys here. But I've got Yorktown at 1 will probably get sunk. Okay. And this guy has already suffered a bunch of casualties, a couple carrier losses. And he's now down, these two are down to 1, and they will probably get sunk. This guy is low on oil. So I would end that battle. Okay, I would end that battle, take them back to port. Okay, and again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've lost 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've lost 4. So I'm 3 up on them. It's now June when we should be at parity. Okay, and I've sunk 3 more than them. And I have, now you see the Bataan coming in, and so I'll be getting 1, 2, 3, 4 carriers coming in. 4 carriers coming in. Okay. So where I was a where I was at parity, now I'm going to be able to bring 4 carriers in. My first CVL that I bought is now coming into the excuse me a moment. Is now coming, it will now be coming into play, and I should now have definite superiority over them. The problem is it's June. Okay, it's June, and if I had brought those carriers in earlier, then I wouldn't have had to wait till June to start actually have fights with these guys. And more likely, the better strategy, instead of actually trying to come up here at Rabaul, would be to take my, I could have also thrown all these other guys in there, which would have helped me, is to take my submarines. Take my submarines, for example, Swordfish. Okay, and put him there. And then this guy, and put him there. And then now I cut off supply to these guys, and then I could have put my carriers down here in support of them, and if the Japanese carriers come in to try to lift this blockade, then I've got my carriers ready to fight them, and all of my aircraft to pile in a small area in here. So anyway, I hope that proved a little bit enlightening. Notice how much they lost in their effectiveness. Okay. These guys not so much. These guys took a hard hit. I think they were attacked twice by these two groups. And these guys not so much, but these guys definitely took some heavy hits. Him not so much. Remember, I'm going to lose 12% anyway. Okay, and then add on that, you lose effectiveness for the battle itself. So 12, if you add 12 onto 81, that's 93. So basically lost 7% in the actual combats. And there you go. That's the thing I wanted to show everybody. This change in with the major supply centers definitely changed the game and forces you to come up here, and you have to take this. This becomes now a big important objective, because once you take Rabaul, then you can start working on these guys over here, and then moving over here and maybe attacking over here and starting to really cut off this. And that's why I'm making all those submarines. Okay, you can see all these submarine groups. Those groups are headed into here to cut off supplies so that I can do better over there. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that this video. Hope it increases your understanding of how to at least play the AI in WarPlan Pacific, and to note that if you want to get sea supremacy, you're going to have to buy aircraft carriers, or you're not going to have the time to actually push into an area and get sea dominance. You want sea dominance, so you need to get at least, I would say, at least 4 carriers, okay, as quickly as possible. 4 light carriers as quickly as possible, so that you can start fighting, if it's available, towards February of 1943, and start pushing these guys out of the islands and quickly. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't hesitate to comment. I played the game a long time, but I'm still learning stuff every day. Like I say, hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, adios, amigos.